There's only enough bread for 2 more PB&J sandwiches. That's 2 more flights. Are we going to make it? Welcome to Soar America. The Soar America team includes Eric, our pilot, who is going to attempt to fly his glider from coast to coast in a series of connected flights and only be the second person to achieve this goal. Join us as we soar, camp, and drive across America.
Georgia traffic light of Quebec Victor departing runway 17 West Georgia. I had pretty high hopes for today. I'm just 15 or 20 minutes into the flight from Carrollton, Georgia, but I'm already seeing high stuff. It's only 1:30 and already seeing some tall blown out cells, and this is roughly the heading I need to take for about 20 miles, 15 to 20 miles before I can turn the corner around the Atlanta Class B airspace. And this heading is taking me straight towards some towering stuff. So I don't know, that sometimes will squash the lift for miles around. So I'm going to move that direction, but it may be a tight squeeze between there and the Class B, and even a little to the left. After I've made the turn, I see some high stuff. So the forecast didn't have all that in it, so I was hopeful, but forecasts are often wrong. The atmosphere is really volatile this time of year in the south, so it's hard to make an accurate prediction. But I'll keep my eyes out for rain or storms and see what I can do with what conditions I get. Well, at this point I have made it far enough south that I could head due east now and avoid the Atlanta Class B airspace. I would be going under the southern pieces of it, the lowest of which their bottoms are at 5,000 feet above sea level. I haven't been able to climb above 4,500 feet above sea level yet, so unless climbs rise before I can get past it, I shouldn't even have to worry about bumping into that airspace as I climb. But I'll keep an eye on it, of course, and I don't think I want to go much farther south than that because of the way the sky looks over there. Well, I just had to make a tough decision. I'm about 7 miles east in underneath the southwest most corner of the Class B airspace, and I wanted to go a little more north to my left. Conditions look better there, but I'm pretty sure I would be up against a lower level of airspace, and I'd have to stay below 4,000 feet. I don't want to force that on myself, so I'm going south around this blue hole here, blue-ish hole, to try to get over here. And hopefully conditions aren't too badly affected by that somewhat tall cloud there. I'd like to get stay left of it, north of it, and reconnect with the good conditions in the distance out there. I'm squeezed in here pretty good between I wouldn't say dangerous conditions to the right, but not real good looking soaring wise, and airspace to my left and above me. I'm 200 feet below the bottom of an airspace layer, and about 2 miles to my left is a wall of airspace that descends down to 800 feet lower than my current height. So imagine being in a room in a house. I'm up on the ladder, about to hit my head on the ceiling, and I could reach out and touch a wall. So that's where I am right now. And the wind is roughly paralleling the wall to my left. So I just can't go much more left, and I can't count on the good conditions drifting out of the airspace and into the room I'm in. So I'm going to keep walking this fine line as long as I can. It looks like it gets better ahead once I get past this stuff off my right wing. So hopefully I can get past it before the squeeze becomes too tight. I see a pretty unfriendly cell to the southeast, right about there. You can still see some crisp outlines up high, and I see what I think is rain down below. So I'm going to definitely steer left of that. There appears to be plenty of space between there and what's left of the Atlanta airspace to pass. I think that's the Atlanta airport right there. So I'm about halfway past the airspace. I'm due south of the Atlanta airport. One of, if not the busiest airport on the planet. Over here, crosswind of the runways, I haven't seen any heavy traffic, so I believe all their runways run east-west, and I'm passing through on the south side of the airport. Well south of the airport. For you racing fans, here's a look at the Atlanta Speedway, and there's an airport right next to it. Now flying more or less directly over Mallard's Landing, a nice community, I call it a live-in airport. One of the residents is a kind sailplane pilot who invited me to land there and stay, and he'd even give me a tow out on the next flying day. But I am 4,000 feet above the ground. It's early. The day appears to have a lot more potential. Yeah, we'll see, but I'm going to keep moving eastward. That would have been a cool place to stop, though, and thank you for the generous offer. Maybe next time. I really wanted to not get this close to that thing. But I had an overdeveloped line to the left and this thing to the right, and a lot of blue in between. So far I'm not finding much lift by getting even this close to that. Just a little to my left, it looks really shut down. See what I can do. wasn't finding anything in the last little bit of clouds out from that dark raining stuff, and it was just looking darker and heavier rain. So I turned and got away, going on a 5 or 10 mile glide toward a grass airstrip where I will land unless I can get across this blue and find some lift. So I am about almost 9 miles from that airstrip, and I'm pretty sure these clouds here are closer to me than that, but it's really hard to tell sometimes. So if I can get to these clouds, they look somewhat promising. Yeah, then maybe I can get back up. I think I'm starting to see rain off on the right side of these from that tall cell. So it's just tall cells and rain all over the place. It must be July in the deep south. Well, I'm not out of the woods yet, but I was just about to turn back to land. I had a field behind me made with 13 or 1400 feet, and I was pressing on, putting it behind me. The arrival altitude erodes quickly. I was flying under a line of good-looking clouds, but I think maybe they were sort of overripe and not producing much lift, shading the ground a lot. So I saw a little wispy bit of cloud. I wasn't sure whether it was a building one or a dying one, but I figured that was my last shot. So I turned away from the good-looking clouds, went for the little wispy one, and so far have climbed 700 feet. Now, it's still a pretty good jump to the next landable place, so I'd like to climb, another 1,000 feet here if possible. The cloud appears to be growing, and the thermal seems to be getting better, so luck counts. Well, that last little wispy cloud didn't get me to the next self-launchable place, but it barely got me enough to get to the next safe landing place, a grass strip. And I've just been limping along slowly through mostly blue sky. The clouds are a lot more sparse than they were earlier in the flight anyway. And I just did it again, just found a good climb under a brand new little wispy cloud. I actually saw it forming as I approached, so I headed toward it instead of the two better looking clouds, because my experience the last hour or so has been when I head toward a cloud that looks pretty mature and has a nice flat base, by the time I can get there, it's dying. So look for the tiniest of wispy thing that's growing and go there. So that's what I've done. And I almost have enough to comfortably have the Baldwin County Airport made on glide, and that is in or near Milledgeville, Georgia, which is where I lived the first few years of my life and where my two sisters were born. I'm approaching Milledgeville, Georgia. That looks like the town, and then here's a lake that's around it. I lived the first 3 or 4 years of my life in a house on this lake. And just to the right of the lake is the Baldwin County Airport, and that's the finish point for a task I call for a state record in the 13.5 meter class. A little over 100 miles, 115, something like that. I don't remember. So I need to fly right over the airport if I want to finish that task and claim that record. I'll probably do that. It looks good enough in that direction. It is about 4:15. The sun sets somewhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Circling near Milledgeville, and I just want you to take a peek at that towering gray blob right there. That's due west. I think that is the same cell I've had my eye on since I was at Atlanta. Well, it was off to my right. That thing, I don't think has died in all that time. It's kind of like an eerie presence following me on this flight. Kind of creepy. I'd really like to be rid of it. Here is one, hopefully last, look at Milledgeville and the lake around it. I'm circling a couple miles past the airport and right alongside town. Here's town. Another big rain shower over there and over there. I just can't seem to find a place where I can't see a shower somewhere. Now there is one of the finest shaped mushroom clouds I've ever seen. Anvil-headed cloud. Thankfully that's not the direction I want to go, but that is. So my day may be ending soon. Just seems like there are too many storms to find a safe route through them. But I'm fine for the moment where I am. Not too many clouds here. In fact, I'm just having to visit every little wispy thing and occasionally find a thermal like this one under a brand new little wispy cloud. Wow, this has already been a long glide into the blue, and I have several miles of it left. There's my only good airport at the moment that I have within reach. I have it with about 2,400 feet. I'm hoping I can fly this direction and reach the nearest clouds here and still have enough altitude to make it back to that airport if need be. I'd really rather go that way. Those clouds look, you know, it's too congested, but maybe a little better than over near this active rain shower a few miles beyond the airport. But I'm pretty sure I can't reach those and still have the altitude to get back to the airport if needed. So I'm headed for this one, and we'll see whether I have enough altitude to make it there. If I don't, it looks pretty poor over the airport. So that could be where I end up. That is Carrollton, Georgia. That's the name of the airport anyway. I don't know if there's a town there by that name. Maybe. Spent the last half hour scouting for a way through the line of scary looking clouds and showers to get closer to the east coast, but I just can't find one. Too many showers, towering cells, widespread strong lift, well, not strong lift, but widespread smooth lift, which often goes with thunderstorms. Saw a couple of lightning strikes in the distance. It's 5:30, more than 3 hours before sunset, but I'm going to put it on the ground. Hopefully I can get it put away before it gets wet. There's the airport. I'm 3,000 feet above it now. Plenty of lift, just nowhere safe to go. Traffic, glider Quebec Victor, entering downwind for 13 Carrollton. Victor, turning base for 1-3, Kayla. Final for 1-3, Kayla.
Fellow Soar America teammate is down recording, working on her video. If you're not following Trails, Tales, and a Tiny Van, be sure to look them up and subscribe. She's got a lot of interesting video about the other things besides flying that we've been doing on this adventure. So we are about to taxi the glider out to the runway, and clouds are definitely starting to build. Hopefully he can get up and get out of here before any of these start over-developing and he starts having to dodge storms. Otherwise, things are looking pretty good on the ground right now.
things are looking pretty good so far. I've been in the air about 25 minutes, launched about a little before 1 o'clock. Solar noon here is a little after 1:30, so launched a little before solar noon, but the clouds were already looking good. The buzzards were climbing high, so I went ahead. As always, there's a forecast for afternoon pop-up storms, so I wanted to get underway as early as conditions would support. I'm able to climb up to near the clouds. I'm not going to have as much altitude to work with today, probably, as I did in the last flight, but I've made it to 3,300 above the ground already, and if I can stay near the upper end of the range today, I should be able to do fine. As luck would have it, the longest jump between airports is the first one. It's 26 miles between airports. So I've marked a few fields that look landable from satellite imagery, but that's no guarantee. I really don't want to have to land in those fields, but just in case, I might use one of those as a safety field to get across this 26-mile jump if I can't quite get the altitude to do it without them. In that case, I would only do it if the conditions ahead look pretty good, pretty close to guarantee that I think I'll be able to stay up and not have to land in one of those fields should the engine not work. And I never want to assume the engine will work. So here we go. At takeoff, I was 112 miles from my tentative end point for the whole adventure, the Ridgeland, South Carolina Airport, home of the Low Country Soaring Association Sailplane Flying Club. Probably no one there today, given that it's Friday, but that's still where I want to end up. We'll see. That would be a big flight given today's forecast. Pretty high probability of storms in the afternoon. But this morning, so far, I say morning, it's almost 1:30. The situation looks a lot more tame than it did this time of day yesterday. So maybe they overcalled the probability of storms. I'm going to fly like there are going to be storms in a couple of hours, if not sooner. We'll see what I can do and what the weather turns out to be. Well, conditions have been kind to me so far. Been in the air only about 45 minutes, and I've been able to stay closer to cloud base than yesterday. So even though the cloud base is lower, I've been able to stay almost as high, and the sky is pretty rich with clouds. It seems like at least every other cloud is working. So I already have the first airport made, Louisville. That was the longest jump of the flight, so if things continue to go this well, it shouldn't be a problem to finish, provided the storms stay away long enough and the sky doesn't just get too full of clouds so that there's too much shade on the ground. So any of that can happen, so I'm sure not going to take it for granted. And I need another about 2,000 feet to have the next airport made. I'm not to Louisville yet. I'm 10 miles or so out. And I need another 2,000 feet to have the next one beyond it made, which is 32 miles from here. I just need to keep picking good clouds, working the thermals well, and moving toward the ocean. Well, it's 10 after 2. Things are still going pretty well, but the sky is filling up with cumulus more than I'd like. It just creates more shade on the ground, and it means more clouds that aren't working. They're just kind of hanging out up here dead. Some people call them cloud corpses. And more of them are getting tall. So there probably will be some showers before too long. I think I'm only about 30 miles into the course so far. About 79 miles from Ridgeland. Almost have enough altitude to make the second airport on my route, Millen. So we'll see if I can get that one made at least pretty soon. Well, this thermal has given me enough to make it to Millen, the second airport on my route. I need about 7,000 more feet to make it to Ridgeland, which is 76 miles away. Now, Julie reminded me today that today's PB&J, my typical cockpit lunch, will wipe out the rest of our bread. You see one side is made with the end of the loaf, so that's her way of telling me I better make it to Ridgeland today. Otherwise, we'll have to go to the grocery store just to be able to fly again. So, okay, I'll give it my best.
Somerville traffic, CAS for 63863 is overhead, joining downwind runway 24.
I'm digging out here at a fairly critical point. Had just passed my last safe landing option. It's a grass strip, so not necessarily somewhere I'd want to self-launch, and it's a private strip, so you know the owner might not want me to anyway. Lacked a few hundred feet being able to comfortably make the next preferred landing option, which was about 12 miles ahead. So I found this narrow, broken, weak thermal, and it now has put me right about at the comfort zone, but I'll stay here and gain a few hundred more feet, make it even more comfortable to go on the next glide, and that'll be to the Plantation Airport. I'm 48 miles from Ridgeland, only need about 4,000 more feet to have Ridgeland made. Haven't seen any rain yet. It is about 5 after 3. I've seen a few towering clouds, like there's one. There's one, but nothing has really gotten ugly yet. So far, the worst effect of that is in places there's just too much cloud. It shades the ground too much. But we'll see. The day still has potential. I might could finish today. Well, I have just passed my last preferred landing site, airport, before Ridgeland. And Ridgeland is 36 miles away, and I need 2,500 or 3,000 feet to reach it. I have a couple of grass strips picked between here and there, but the first one is a pretty, it's still 19 miles away, and I need about another 1,000 feet to feel comfortable about making that. So for now, I still have Plantation Airport, the one I just passed, made with 2,600 feet. So as long as I can find another 1,000 feet of altitude in the next few miles, I'll be okay. We'll see. From here on out, I'd rather not land anywhere other than Ridgeland. Probably won't be able to self-launch anywhere between here and Ridgeland. Might have to back up to the airport I just passed. But we'll see what happens. It is 3:30.
Traffic.
Well, it's about 10 till 4. And just a few minutes ago, I noticed the first rain showers of the day. You may not be able to make them out, but I see them over there, probably 10 to 15 miles to my right. And I actually want to go a little more left than this. I'm just following some clouds at the moment. I don't see any rain in my path. Flight computer says that I barely have Ridgeland made, 28 miles away. Cool. So hopefully no rain will pop up and block my path. And if it doesn't, then I should have Ridgeland. Just need a little more altitude to have it made with some comfort, but almost there. The showers still aren't in my path, but I've converged. I've moved over toward them a little bit, so they're a lot more visible now. I still don't see showers in my path, but once showers start popping up anywhere on a day like this, they could pop up anywhere else. So keeping my eyes open, hoping to make it the final 22 miles to Ridgeland. If no one's there, I may go farther, see if I can land a little closer to the coast. Visibility's low enough that from Ridgeland, I bet I won't see the ocean. It'd be kind of cool to see it. We'll see. The day's not over. It's just after 4 o'clock. There's a little grass strip that is my last landing option before Ridgeland. My flight computers currently say I have Ridgeland made with 1,000 to 1,200 feet. And Ridgeland is 18 miles away. So I'd like to have a little more insurance than that, but it's looking good. Well, straight off the nose is the Ridgeland Airport. I have it made with about 2,100 feet, 7.5 miles out. Just got some light rain passing through that last cloud. No big deal though. Should be there in a few minutes. Half a mile from Ridgeland, I'm flying right over the middle of the airport at about 2,800 feet above the ground to complete the task I declared for a Georgia state record. And I haven't heard anything from any glider pilots here, so being a Friday, I'm guessing no one's home. So there we go, task finished. I'm going to see if I can't find a little more altitude and head out toward the coast. I see water. I'm not sure I'm seeing the ocean. Maybe it's just too hazy to see that far. It's probably 20, 25 miles, I believe, to the ocean. So I'm going to see if I can get a little closer and it be more obvious that it's the ocean before either coming back here and landing or landing at an airport out there closer to the coast. We'll see. It is about 20 till 5. Well, it looks like a rain shower has finally caught up with me. That appears to be on a course for Ridgeland. It's drifting that way. I would estimate it'll be there in 30 minutes, assuming it holds together that long. It could get there faster if it grows in that direction, but I really don't want to go get on the ground at Ridgeland just in time for a downpour, especially since I don't know whether anyone's there to offer me space in a hangar, shelter from the rain. So I'm trying to stay up and out of the path of that rain. Let's see what I can do. The drift of the shower has been a different direction than I thought, so it's going to miss Ridgeland to the west. That's good, and I didn't find much good lift closer to the coast, so I guess I won't get a good shot of the ocean. That's common though. Sea breeze will bring in that cooler air, and for whatever reason it squashes thermals for a considerable distance inland. So 25 miles looks like that number today, 25 to 30. So I'm just now loitering to buy time for Julie and Diane to make it here before me. In this whole adventure, they've yet to get to the landing airport before me and be able to get staged for a good landing video. We tried it once in Moriarty, though that really wasn't part of this adventure. That was a side trip, but it was from pretty far away. So they're trying to get staged for a video op of me landing, so I'm trying to just hang on in weak lift until they get here. Should just be a few more minutes before they're here.
Take Bonanza 72 Woody Tango, 10 miles northwest inbound.
Ridgeland traffic, glider Quebec Victor, turning left, final for 18 full stop Ridgeland.